In the recent year, Microsoft has introduced a couple of new topics that can help you to learn more and put your governance into the right way so that you can go through and understand how the identity works now in the cloud. Because in the past, who actually been working on the on-premises environment, they very much heard about Active Directory. Since around, if I'm not wrong in that scenario, around 30 years, 3 decades, the Active Directory helps us to manage our identities in on-premises, and it also helps us to start managing our devices, our computers, our applications, which has been running already on-premises. But now the world is changed, right? In the recent years, you have seen a lot of things has been introduced, specifically the cloud. And in the cloud, now people like to introduce their application, and obviously the organization who has actually been using, in fact right now, the on-premises Active Directory, they definitely wants to access those application which is running in the cloud. And if you want to run and access your application in the cloud, you have to make a good synchronization in between on-premises Active Directory and the new word is called Microsoft ENtra. In other words, I can say Azure Active Directory. Don't worry, here you just need to understand how the Microsoft Cloud Identity works here and how and where are the governance options available so that you can leverage those facilities in Microsoft ENtra, in Microsoft Azure in specific, and how you're gonna use all of these identities to work for you. So hello guys, my name is Harjangra, and in this particular video we'll more talk about the identity and security operations that is available for us in Microsoft Azure. Don't worry, I'm not gonna put you in a lot of a long video here. It is just to make you understand what are these concepts are and how exactly these things are working behind the scene. You just need to know the concepts here. Obviously, I'll go through some of the things which can help you to identify where that is. But if you really want to learn more, please go through my AZ-104 and AZ-500 videos, because security options will be covered in AZ-500. I mean, not 500. It's AZ-500. And if you want to understand from the administration and the management point of view, just go through AZ-104 certification. I have already uploaded the videos. So guys, in this video, we'll more focus on the Microsoft ENtra, which is a new concept. Not a concept. Microsoft just changed the names, and that is how it is. Microsoft, as usual, like to use the abbreviations and the names. They like to do that. I don't know why. And obviously, I will explain about you. Not about you. I will explain that why the Microsoft ENtra is needed nowadays and how the ENtra synchronization works in the real world. Obviously, you need to just understand the whole parameters, why you need to think about it, why you need it in today's world. And once we understand that thing, it is correlated that with the help of Microsoft ENtra, we start implementing the security solutions. In that one, the very first thing is multi-factor authentication, which can actually help your identities to work around the world. It doesn't matter whether you are sitting right here at your home and using internet, or you are sitting somewhere in the cafe and you're trying to access your organization based or enterprise based application. It's absolutely flawless. And in fact, you have deployed Active Directory on premises and Microsoft ENtra in Microsoft Azure. Don't worry, there's a synchronization which we already know now. There's a synchronization usually happening between the on-premises and the cloud, and that is how you are able to access all of your cloud application. So we'll talk about how you can make your identity secure in multi-factor authentication. And obviously, when you work in the organization, there are certain criteria. Some users definitely have certain responsibilities. So how you're gonna assign those responsibility to these users, that we will cover in role-based access control. I'll explain you, I'll show you where you can find all these settings and options. And finally, in security, because these are the new topics added in the recent time, the conditional access and the Azure policy. So both options can allow you to even go through more security controls over your identities and your data, whatever you have, or your applications, how you're going to leverage those security policies, which is a kind of a baseline from Microsoft Azure, and you can use all of them to make your identities as well as your data secure or your application secure. That is how I mention all of these words right here, like threat protection, the cloud security, the information protection, the discover and response. This is all about how you're going to start using your Azure Monitor. And obviously the compliance management, great stuff. Insider risk management, information governance, identity and access management, all comes right after Microsoft Entra under Microsoft Azure. So this is all right now we are going to discuss about, and you will learn very much more about it so that you can understand the questions coming into the examination for AZ-900, as well as you'll also go through and clear your concepts and understanding about how you can use Microsoft Entra for a management point of view, and how you're going to apply your security options available in Microsoft Azure. So guys, let's begin and try to understand more about Microsoft Entra first. Azure Active Directory. No. It's not Microsoft Azure Active Directory now. It's called Entra from Microsoft. All right. So like I mentioned earlier, Microsoft liked to change the name, and Azure Active Directory now we call it Microsoft Entra. Both are the same thing. Don't and never be confused. Number two, we have to think about the concept of Active Directory and Microsoft Entra. What's exactly the difference in between two? Why we need to rethink about this concept? What is the purpose of Microsoft Entra, and why we all need to actually learn it in today's world? So first thing first, I'll start to think about those people who especially came from the on-premises background. In the on-premises, as a Windows Server administrator, or the people who is actually managing all the users in on-premises, they all have one thing in common, that they have to start looking into the users, and obviously these users are actually created on the server in on-premises, and this on-premises servers start managing all the devices which has been connected to the same environment. Means they have a LAN connection, we called it local area network, and obviously the use of these client operating system, the client operating system for, since we hear from the XP, from after the XP Vista, Microsoft Vista, I'm from those time when Vista was also introduced. Then Windows 7 came into the picture as a client operating system, then Windows 10, then Windows 11 nowadays. And we all know we have to connect your client with the Microsoft Active Directory on premises with the specific steps. And once it has been done, all of these users, it doesn't matter, like the people who is actually working in the organizations with these user identities can logged in into these machines successfully without any trouble. And why they have to do that? Obviously, they can start managing the data which is available in the storage server. Maybe this is a storage server. They have lots of data to be shared within the organization as a part of the enterprise architecture. Maybe these users have to access the application created within their local environment. I'm not talking about the cloud environment at this moment. So for this purpose, the Active Directory actually works, and believe me, it's actually the core of everything. Because if there is no user, there is no sense, or there is no use of this data available, or there is applications available, the storage available, because without the identities, these are absolutely useless. So you have to think about those scenarios when they have to start creating the users. The very next step, Once the user created, great. But now you have to start thinking about the groups, because in the groups level, it's very impossible in terms of if you have actually thousands of users to just assign the permission one by one. Instead of that, you can make a group, you can add on all of these users into a certain group. Once the group is ready, just apply the permission or security control on this group and everybody have the same permission under that particular group. And that is why in the organization, if you are handling now or if you handled in the past, you have seen the name sales, IT, or maybe the CEOs or maybe CTOs, etc., etc. These groups usually we can say in the management point of view, if you like to manage a lot of things in the organization. Now, again, why we have to think about the Microsoft Entra, why it is so important now to think, and in the year of 2024, why you need to, start, collaborative concepts in between the Active Directory on premises and Microsoft Entra. It's all because people now start using Office 365. Absolutely right. You might heard that nowadays people like to use PowerPoint online, Excel online, OneNote online, or maybe Microsoft Word online, or Microsoft Planner. Lots of other applications are available over the cloud, right? And obviously Active Directory is an on-premises solution. So if you like to play with, successfully and without any problems, you have a specific identity which is running in the cloud. And that is how the Microsoft introduced Microsoft Entra or Azure Active Directory for you. It's a cloud-based identity provider. Mind you, once again, it is just managing the identities, nothing else, right? Actually, Microsoft have the complete authority of this Microsoft Entra. Complete means everything, like a skeleton structure. I always call Active Directory on premises is nothing but the skeleton structure of the identities, where we can modify the attributes, we can add on the attributes, we can delete any of the attributes which we don't like. What is the meaning of attributes? I give you some examples, like the location, like the mobile phone, like the picture of the user. All of these are kind of attributes which can be completely controlled and managed by on-premises Active Directory and obviously by the organization. But here, everything is been designed behind the scene by Microsoft. Yes, they have given us the attributes, but the limited one, and again, it has to be go through from the Microsoft. It is not like we have the ownership, in other words, that we have the ownership of this Microsoft Entra and we can modify anything we want. No, you cannot do that. For that specific reason, you have to actually just follow the instructions given by, or follow the attributes which has been given by the Microsoft. That is the only thing we can do. But it has certain great capabilities. In Microsoft Entra, if any of the user would like to access Office 365 or maybe some of the application running on the cloud or maybe from the mobile phone, everybody can have could have an identity running in the cloud. And that is exactly we need to think about the Microsoft Entra, where the Active Directory on premises actually sync with Azure Active Directory, or we call it Microsoft Entra. And after the sync happen, all of these users, let me just change the color of these users here. These users will be synchronized to Microsoft Entra. Now, what is actually happen if you actually synchronize this user? Think about the situation. If the user has been synchronized, including the user, obviously the password also been synchronized, right? So once the password is synchronized, these identities, these users' existence is also been available now under Microsoft Entra for your enterprise. Now, for the next time, if this user is sitting inside your organization, like it doesn't matter whether it is sitting in the organization or outside, and they want to access the Office 365 applications, Now what they can do, they can simply type in XYZ, I mean, not XYZ, it's www.office365.com. The request goes to the public network, and over the public network first, you always see the sign in page, right? And in the sign in page, whenever we type the same username, which has been already there in on-premises Active Directory, what exactly happened? It actually goes to the Microsoft Entra, verify the identity because it is managing the cloud identities, and then we are able to log in successfully within Office 365. That's the magic. That's a great thing for the cloud identity provider, that it doesn't matter where is your application are, and everybody who is actually running their application, their websites over the cloud obviously required an identity to verify. Now for all of the cloud solution, or for all of the cloud websites or whatever the applications you have, actually goes to the Microsoft Entra to verify your identity. And once it has been verified, you are good to go. You are able to access your data successfully. I hope it helps you to understand why you need it. It's not just about the synchronization. I'll talk about that in a minute. But at this moment, this is exactly, you need to think about the users. And again, when you synchronize your user, there's a specific identities you need to know in Microsoft Azure. And for that, I think, let me take you to the Microsoft Azure, where you can even get more details about the same. Now we are here in Microsoft Azure, and then if you want to see all of the user identities that is available just directly inside the Microsoft Entra, or it's been synchronized straight from on-premises, or you have invited some of the users over, like for Gmail or maybe some other external identities, all of these users exist under one roof. I'm so sorry for this hiccup. It's been quite late for me. It's around 12 or maybe 12 a.m. at this moment, I believe. And I'm really excited for RCB and Chennai Kings. I mean, the match is going on because they're going to go to the playoff, right? It's actually Saturday and I'm making this video. I can't sleep anyway because I'm too much excited for all of you to learn more with that. Anyway, let's come back. So for the Microsoft Entra identities, if I just click on this, and now as you can see, we have the Microsoft Entra ID P2 license, but leave it. We are not going to talk about it. We have a lot of things to be managed under Microsoft Entra, but at this moment we have to go to under users, and here under the users you can see some of the details which you need to know. I will explain one by one and will show some of the details which may help you in the future. The first thing first, start with the member, right? The user type is member and the second is guest. So what's the difference? The member user could be in two different situations. One, either these users are created directly in Microsoft Entra or Azure Active Directory, or maybe the member users been synchronized straight from your on-premises Active Directory to the Microsoft Azure identities, which you can see in a minute right now. And here, if you want to verify whether this user is synchronized from on-premises or not, then you have to look into this part, because as you can see, if I just get a little bit here, scroll here, on-premises sync enabled. If you see yes, means this user is actually been synchronized from on-premises. Mind you that. Second thing, if you see no, it means these users are actually created straight and under the Azure Active Directory or Microsoft Entra, the cloud identity. It's not been synchronized from the on-premises Active Directory. Got it? That's the first thing. Second thing, okay, you can see the name of the user type is a guest, which means it could be any other identities. It could be a Gmail identity, it could be a Yahoo identity. At this moment, I have invited my user that is from the Google. As you can see, the username or my email ID is harshadmin _ or I mean @ gmail.com. That is my ext, that is my external identity, and this is the domain name provided by Microsoft Azure during the time of the creation of these identities. Now, the next thing you need to be very well aware, it's good. I mean, you can see it's absolutely fine. If I go to the Microsoft identities, for example, you like to use Microsoft 365, Office 365, or I take you simply, for example, entra.microsoft.com. It is a separate management portal where you can manage and take care of everything related to Microsoft Entra. Because here, if I go back to the users, or I mean not users, right here in under Microsoft, and if I type Entra, you can see some of the options available here that you want to manage. But believe me, if you want to manage everything related to Microsoft Entra, it's right here. Similarly, if I like to open Microsoft 365, you can also see the same identities, means the Active Directory, or I mean Microsoft Entra is gonna be the same. Don't worry, I will show you in a minute. I need to log in for that. I don't remember the URL, that is why I'm not able to show you, but I'll show you in a minute that if you are actually been using Microsoft 365 or Office 365 related to the same the environment, or you can say the organization point of view, they actually all gonna use the same identities as you have seen right here. Now, what else been offered by Microsoft Entra? For that, let me just go back to our presentation or OneNote. So that is one thing. The second thing is the Microsoft identities are not just responsible for to synchronize your users straight from Active Directory to the Microsoft Entra. Obviously, Microsoft Entra also have the capability to synchronize other identities as well, which mean like this user, if let's say the external identity means I think you heard about, let me take you back a little bit, in on-premises environment, and you heard about the forest, right? Where we make a directional relationship, the two-way direction relationship, or one-way directional relationship, which means if these identities are the external one, how you gonna make a relationship with them? If you are fully, trust and testify these all the identities, the external ones, you can make a two-way relationship, right? If you just want to use the users which has been available in other identities in your environment, then you have to start thinking about the one-way direction relationship. This usually happened in the past. Now the Microsoft actually give a name from the Microsoft Entra point of view. It's called external identities. And in external identities, it doesn't matter that your users are from Google or from Facebook or Dropbox or Salesforce or any other one. The advantage is these users, which you can see right here, is trying to log in from the Google, right? As an example, they can simply log in easily because the identities has been verified by Microsoft Entra. You just need to configure this Google Identities provider inside Microsoft Entra from a specific gateway. Obviously there's a way to deal with it. I'll show you where you can find these options, and obviously you can also synchronize the Facebook identity provider as well under the Microsoft Entra. And apart from that, if there's any other external identities, you can simply follow SAML or Fed based identity, Fed-in basically. So these are the federation based identities, and if you heard about Active Directory federation servers in the past, I mean in on-premises, I think it would be easy for you to understand. And I believe most of the organization, whether it is a cloud based or any other on-premises based, they all have either SAML based identities configured or maybe the Fed-in, which is the federation based integration, which can help the same users to seamlessly synchronize within their own environment. For example, if these user wants to log in into the Facebook, they can do that easily. But for that, please make sure you have already configured Facebook identity provider inside Microsoft Entra, because you have already synchronized these things with your on-premises environment, right? And where you can find it and where we are, exactly have these options. For that, you have to go back to the Microsoft Azure, and here on the left hand side, you can find external identities. If you go here, obviously it can help you to show set up how you want to collaborate and all that, but I want you to take under the all identity providers, what are the maximum options available. As you can see, I have already configured Microsoft Entra ID. Good. The email one-time passcode I have done because of my authenticator. I have done that already. It's a different kind of identities because we are using an application in the mobile phone, and obviously it's a kind of identity verification option, so it's already been there. We have the Microsoft identity, because if I'm trying to log in into the Microsoft website or some other places for the Microsoft belongings like Xbox or something like that, I can simply use the same identities, can be logged in successfully as a part of single sign-on. You just need to type in the website name and it will be done automatically. There's other two options available, the Google and Facebook, like I mentioned. You can simply follow the instructions from while configure and just follow the step-by-step guidance. And you have, make sure you also have the admin access of your Google identities or Facebook identities so that you can easily follow the standard process and able to configure it. Although the Microsoft is in a good way, they actually give you all these details that how you're going to start configuring things step by step. If there's any other external identities as well, you can also follow the add new with the based on the SAML or WS Windows Server Federation server. Obviously, it's a most likely to configure for other domains if it has been available. So you can start configuring things right from here, and it's very, very seamless. I mean, you won't even find a single trouble while managing all of your identities. Now, obviously, you think about how and why you need to synchronize things within Microsoft Entra and your on-premises, which can open a big door for you so that these users are able to access your application inside your on-premises as well as on the cloud successfully. Now, how you're going to do that operation? I mean, how you're going to achieve that? Because guys, we have AD Connect. That was a previous name. I don't want to confuse, because most of you, if you already been using Active Directory and been synchronized, that has been configured. But now they changed the name. The Microsoft give the name Entra Connect. And I like to tell you, I have already made the video in AZ-900, which has been responsible for to see how you're going to start synchronizing your older user from on-premises to Microsoft Entra, because this application is responsible for to start synchronizing between your cloud provider, that is Microsoft Entra, and in between on-premises Active Directory. Another advantage, it can not just synchronize one way the passwords. It also can synchronize this way as well. So for example, if the user like to change their password while logged in into any the cloud platform, they can certainly do that with the help of Microsoft Entra and with the help of Entra Connect or Azure AD Connect. You can also synchronize your password hash back to the Active Directory, which means if any of the user change their password, it's gonna be synchronized back to your Active Directory as well, which is again a very seamless experience. Believe me, it's so easy, so elegant in terms of managing your identities, and immediately as soon as the user change their password, immediately within like fraction of second, because every 9 seconds, if I'm not wrong in that scenario, the Microsoft Entra Connect send the heartbeat or echo request or echo request to Microsoft Entra, and back and forth. I mean, this is going on both sides just to make sure both identity options are available for synchronization, and it's keep going on. If it is not synchronized, then obviously it will be disaster. Then we need to fix whatever the problems are there. But that's the whole scenario and the sync strategies that you need to be aware in Microsoft Entra. So like I said, if you want to deep dive in all of these topics, I highly recommend to go on AZ-104 and AZ-500 again. So anyway, this is all the things you need to know about Microsoft Entra and the synchronization strategies at this moment. Let's go to the next step and try to understand about the security controls. I need to share something very important with you guys. Maybe you're gonna smile after you listen to me about this problem. And the problem is, in last 3 days, I'm keep trying to make these videos for you, but what happened each and every time when I'm about to finish the video, there's electricity issue happened and everything just stopped working, including my microphone. And yesterday, I thought, okay, my video is completed now. I can make this be available for you guys or make it ready for you guys. In the end, what I realized, my microphone even didn't work while I was recording the video. Would you believe how much stupid I am? But anyway, I'm still back. I finished my work for today. I mean, for my organization, and I'm ready to make this video. All right, so we already know now that, okay, how to start working with the Microsoft Entra IDs, and these IDs are responsible for to take care of all those application, all those resources that you actually created inside Microsoft Azure. But we have to think about the security part. Obviously, I mean, without security in 2024, there's nothing. You have to rethink about all those criterias that you have actually been deployed in your organization. In fact, if you have deployed your things back in 2017, obviously Microsoft Azure still was there, but there was a lot of security controls that you need to implement in case you are not ready for that. I mean, I don't need to tell you that how much important is for you and for your organization. And regarding that, in Microsoft AZ-900 videos, we are going to cover two important points. One, I'm going to start with the RBAC, which is role-based access control. The purpose of the role-based access control, or in other words, we call it RBAC, is very simple. We are like to tightening all those security controls that is exactly can help your users to do the right thing within your organization. Now, the question is, what does it mean? Maybe in the end you will realize, okay, this is Harsh actually trying to explain in this video. Thing is that, guys, for example, my name is Harsh and my responsibility is to make a infrastructure for the organization. It means I can deploy the application services, I can deploy a virtual machine, and one more thing, imagine I can deploy websites, which is a part of the application. But anyway, these are the three things only I have the responsibility to do in my organization. How you gonna tighten that? I'm not gonna touch anything else except this. The answer of that question is role-based access control. Now, believe me, it is not at all a difficult thing to understand. There's a couple of things you need to just keep in your mind while deploying this solution. And believe me, it is absolutely easy. In other words, also the RBAC, we call it IAM. You heard these terms a lot of time if you are already in the organization, which means identity access management, right? Identity access management means, again, whatever the identities you have in Microsoft Entra and you would like to start managing them based on the security controls. That is exactly we are going to achieve. Now, there's a couple of things you need to keep in your mind before to start deploying the solution. The first thing, where you're going to apply these security controls or these IAMs. So obviously you need to start thinking about the scope, whether you want to start with the individual resources, means, okay, I don't want to apply with everything, whatever we have, because we have a user A whose responsibility is just to create the VM as an example. So we're going to choose the single resource, that is virtual machine. That's it. And whatever is going to be done in the virtual machine section is controlled by Harsh or user A. That's it. Except that I'm not gonna create any of the storage account. I'm not responsible for managing the SQL database. I'm not responsible to apply any other security controls to other users. These are the conditions and these are the responsibility that I have to take care of. So again, it is up to you. You can choose either based on resource, or you want to take care of everything based on a resource group. Maybe all of these resources, as you can see on the screen, are already created under the resource group, and I am the person who might have responsibility to take care of a certain resource group, which has been like, as an example, sales resource group, or maybe HR resource group, or you can imagine anything else. Or might be there's a situation where you have to take care of everything. Okay, whatever has been created, like for example, we have the global administrator or the service administrators. They have the responsibility to take care of everything inside the subscription. Then you can also apply this IAM security controls directly on the subscription based as well. Don't worry, in a minute, in fact, I will show you from where you can change the settings, from where you can find out all these details. The good part is the settings are absolutely the same. Only the thing is you need to choose the right scope to apply these security controls. The next thing is about the role definition. Obviously, like I mentioned, either you have to choose this is the very specific responsibility of this XYZ user. So obviously this user can only do these things, except that everything is denied, or I mean not even I have any control or any functionality control or management control of other resources. Obviously only the chosen one which I'm trying to apply have a very limited control. Obviously we can choose what kind of controls we would like to give, whether we like to give the complete control, maybe a contributor, maybe a read control or read only control, that this user only able to see the detail but cannot make any changes. This usually happen in the bigger organization or in the enterprises where you are trying to hire the third-party vendors, where maybe they are making some assessment, or maybe these people are actually just be available for next 10 to 20 days. So you create the guest IDs, and these guest IDs being assigned with the read permission. Your job done. And after 10 days, you simply remove these IDs and you're good to go. So in that kind of scenario, you have to give the right role definition, which can allow a certain identity to take care of things. I want to repeat this again. You have to be very much careful, because if you assign a wrong security control to a person, he can do a mess. I give you an example. I forgot to assign one person because that person has only one responsibility to create an infrastructure. Okay, makes sense, that's okay. But what happened, I forgot to assign the permission in a certain criteria. As I said, I was trying to explain here, and what this guy did is, okay, oh, this is a Microsoft Azure playground. He actually tried and tested multiple things in the same account. And would you believe what happened in the end? When we are approaching the end of the month, obviously we got all invoices, money. and would you believe these all resources he has created is already in a running condition, and they are using all those resources from the Microsoft Azure, and all of these money is paid by definitely the organization, which definitely they were not happy. They not cursed, I can say, but they came to me and said, Harsh, why you didn't take care of these small things? It is a small issue, but it cost us XYZ dollars, and it is not a good idea to leave these security controls in the hand of those people who even don't know what to do with these certain resources. But I think you get my point. This is how you need to take care of your security controls once you have something in your hand. Anyway, so these security controls you can apply on multiple ways. You can apply on an individual user. Obviously, you can apply these controls with the groups. Obviously, subscription, I already mentioned that in case somebody wants to control everything in a subscription as a part of the global administrator or a service administrator, you can choose a subscription based. You can apply these settings based on those settings or the devices as well, that this particular device can take care of this thing and this thing, because on that particular device there's only one user. On that laptop there's only one user being assigned, and he's going to log in with that particular with the credentials whatever been given to that user. So these are the possibilities that you can think of if you want to control your IAMs for the identities. Now let me take you back to the Microsoft Azure, and would like to show you that where you can find all of these controls that can help you to do things even in a well-mannered. Okay, let me start you with first from an individual resource, because like I said, the settings are absolutely same and common for every single place. The only thing you need to choose the right scope to apply it. So as an example, I have created one of the virtual machine, and let me just go to the virtual machine. I would like to assign a certain criteria for this user. Okay, this user can do this, that, whatever the requirement coming from the the operation lead, or if you are the operation lead, you know better than me what kind of permission you would like to assign. So on the left hand side, you can see there's a setting called access control, IAM. Just click on that, and here you can find all the details that you're looking for. Start with the deny, sorry, not the deny. It's not a good idea, because deny can just only help you to identify which particular user or groups has been denied on this resource to take care of things. I mean, whatever been running in this virtual machine has been denied for these users or for these groups, as an example. So let me start with the roles, because there are many roles you can find out. As you can see right here, we have not one, we have many roles been given, and these all are the built-in roles provided by Microsoft, which is very simple. If you want to create your customized one, maybe you have a certain criteria for your users, obviously you can come here as an add and add role assignment, or I mean you can add the user which particular roles you would like to assign, simple as that. But obviously you can also modify or update all of these controls right here. So let me start with you with the explanation of these three ones first. Start with the owner. What is the responsibility of the owner if you assign this to anyone? This guy can do anything. I want to repeat again, anything in this particular resource. He can assign permission to others, he can modify things, he can delete things, which is like a full control to this particular resource. Contributor. It again has a complete control, except this user, if you assign the contributor role to a certain person, this user cannot assign the security control to other users. That's the only difference. Apart from that, other than that, this contributor can modify anything, can update anything, can add on, remove, everything this guy can do. The third and the last is the reader. Reader, no need to tell you much, but only just allow you to see the things. It is not allowed to make any changes on the resource. Because why I explain all of these three, because if you go down below, you can find out either is a contributor, either is a reader, or the admin, which is like a owner one basically. And here we are on the virtual machine, and I would like to see what kind of permission we do have that we can assign to an identity that you can find from here. So if I type virtual and obviously machine, just type this one, there are certain criteria which is available, not a criteria, these are the roles available for the users or for the identities. If you like to assign the virtual machine contributor, which can create virtual machine, modify virtual machines, update virtual machines, this is the right permission for you. But again, you have to choose it carefully. And if you don't know what are exactly the responsibility, again for the virtual machine contributor, on the right hand side, there's an option called view. Just click on this view. Here you can see all of the detail, what this user can do if it has been assigned this permission. Everything is mentioned here with a detailed explanation. And I don't want to waste your time. You can go ahead and check by yourself what would be the best controls for your user. Now you know where are the roles. Now the next thing is, now you want to assign the permission to the user. So here you can certainly go ahead and select. Right now you can see there are two things available, but I mean two users available. Just click on add role assignment. If I click on add role assignment, obviously first thing first, I can choose virtual machine contributor. Obviously I choose this one. That's nice. It's been chosen. That's okay. Click next. Members. Okay, you want to assign virtual machine contributor to whom? So you have to select the user, group, or whatever. So select the member. The members are, for example, Chris is one of that user. I select the user, click select, and you are good to go. Or if you have more identities that you want to assign, select that and you're good to go. Go to review and assign, click review and assign. That's all. As simple as that. You need to just simply choose the right controls for your identity on any of the resources, and you are good to go there. The one more thing, the check access. If you are unsure about your user, whether what kind of controls you have on this resource, simply click on View My Access. So here it can show you that, okay, I am the classic administrator and I have the service administrator role currently been assigned, so that I can, manage everything right under this place. So this is how you can, play around with the access control for an individual user. Resource, not the user. My bad. I agree. Okay. Now the second thing, if you want to play with the same settings are there, but if you want to assign the permission not for one thing, for IPs, for like firewall, NSG basically, for the virtual network, or for the drive, or RAM drive, all of them at the same time, you can again go ahead, click access control and select the assignment, and again you are good to go. So the settings are absolutely same, and similarly you can also go to the subscription level, click on the subscription, whatever subscription you have. Wow, amazing. I didn't realize that I already spent 2000 rupees from my own pocket and I'm not getting it back. But it's okay guys, I'm all here for you. Though I requested you to help me out, donate some money guys. I'm here for you, but don't worry, I'm kidding. Just enjoy your life and learn as much as you can in your life. But my point is here, is again, you can find the same IAM, you can select the right role assignment, and you are good to go with the modification that you want to apply for the user. As simple as that. Not a difficult thing, it's so easy, and it's not again a big deal for any of the person who wants to apply the security controls. Now the next thing, obviously, that is all about the resources control, but what about the user control? Because see, we all need to admit that user password actually been compromised in the world. Not in my organization, at least I can say, but wherever you are working, I have showcase a couple of articles. You can just find out the user account compromised, and you even heard from Microsoft, you heard the Instagram account being compromised, and I have given you already the story that if your Instagram account has been compromised, it is based on those weak password that we like to use. So guys, it is always good to enable two-factor authentication. And this two-factor authentication, we called it like multi-factor authentication. Now, multi-factor authentication means either you can use an authenticator application on your mobile phone that can receive a kind of a notification, and unless you are not allowed with your passcode, or maybe your facial recognition, or maybe your fingerprint biometric, whatever the device is, if you are using on your mobile, support that one, you are not allowed to use your resources at all. So that is exactly a good way. Also, I like to just inform you that FIDO2 security keys is nothing but a kind of a USB drive. Unless you don't plug in that particular drive inside your laptop, you are not allowed to log in to that laptop, because that has the security key to enable your boot process. So this is really a great way to protect your laptop. So if somebody actually been, taken away your laptop from you, don't worry, that guy doesn't have any access. It's been completely by default, because if the BitLocker has been enabled on that particular laptop, as an example, or in Mac operating system, again, if we have encrypted the whole drive, that guy doesn't, have access of anything, whatever the data you have. Yeah, if it is quite a master, I have heard the stories as well. Some people actually can recover by breaking those laws. Then obviously I can't do anything about that. But basically, it's all just the extra layer of protection. Now, how it actually works, like I mentioned, you have the mobile device, you can install the application, or maybe you have some third-party application on your mobile phones, or maybe there's a laptop as an example. You can just have a FIDO2 security key, like I mentioned. The point is, as soon as these all things you are trying to log in, even in the cloud, so basically that request goes to Microsoft ENtra, and in Microsoft ENtra, there's a identity protection settings are there. I'll just show you in a quick way that how you can enable the MFA, but that identity protection giving you all those facility to enforce multi-factor authentication for the user until unless you have not been verified by either the app, like I mentioned, Authenticator app. So this app maybe have authentication, or maybe you have some biometric configuration, maybe a feed or two as an example, or maybe you are using some kind of passcode that can help you to continue to access your data. You are not allowed to move forward. And in a worst case scenario, in a worst case scenario, if you forgot all of these things, you don't have, maybe your mobile is been stolen as an example. So obviously there's a security control again in MFA that can receive or send a message as a text message. Okay, so this text message can help you to receive those 6-digit code, and then you can simply type in and able to access your data. Or maybe you receive an email from Microsoft Azure that, hey, this is the 6-digit code that been configured in the security control, and then you are allowed to access of your data or application, whatever you have, because there are only two conditions. If you fulfill the requirement, you are allowed to access. If you don't, then simple as that, you block access to your data. So it is so simple to enable the Microsoft multi-factor authentication in Azure. So let me take you back again. And here you have to go to Microsoft Entra ID. And for multi-factor authentication, I absolutely highly recommend everyone to enable it, so that it will be easy for you and for your organization to at least put the extra layer of protection of your user in case the user has been compromised. So if your password been compromised, until unless you have not given that 6-digit code or your passcode, and you have not been identify yourself from this Authenticator app, you are absolutely not allowed to continue to access your data or entering inside, in fact, in your application or in Microsoft Azure. I'll show you an example. So here you have to go to the users to enable the multi-factor authentication. And right here above, there's an option called per user MFA. So if I click on this per user MFA, you can simply go to this separate window. At this moment, I like to just put yourself into the highlight that there's a Chris user, and currently multi-factor authentication is disabled, right? So what kind of things you can see here is, let me just open another window, which is this one, and just type portal.azure.com, and I type the username Chris, I'm so sorry, harsharina.in, press next, type the password, and make sure you type the correct password. Once you type, right here, check this out. It didn't ask you to follow the multi-factor authentication steps. It is just saying, okay, you want to stay inside? Yes. As soon as you click yes, you are absolutely inside your Microsoft Azure and you start working. And here's the deal. Maybe somebody or your attacker or hijacker actually hijack the session and get to know about your password. There's a lot of technique inside the cyber cafe, inside the public area where the people can start mining your things and attack or intervention your session and then get all of your passwords, which is obviously, it's a very possible thing. I can't say, I don't say, I never say it always happened, but yeah, you never know. But anyway, I sign out right now from this user, and let me just go back again to this multi-factor authentication setting, and here I select the Chris and I click enable. As soon as I said, okay, are you sure you want to enable the multi-factor authentication? Absolutely. I enable it, good. And check this out, it's been enabled, right? Now, until unless it's not been enforced, I like to enforce, because if it has been enabled, we have given some time to enable this multi-factor. But if you need to enforce that, hey, you have to do it, there is no other choice, you can click on this as well. But at this moment, let me take you back to my Chris user. Let me try to sign in, because we have enabled the multi-factor authentication. Check this out. As soon as I click sign in, this is changed now, right? Here we have action required. So you like to move forward with the Microsoft Authenticator app. That is a recommendation from the Microsoft Azure end at this moment. So I have already downloaded Microsoft Authenticator app. I click next. And here, as soon as I click next, it goes to a very separate window where we need to follow the instruction and enable the multi-factor authentication for the user. So at this moment, what I'll do on my mobile phone, I'll just open my Microsoft Authenticator app, and then I'd like to show you how actually it works for you. Now the Microsoft Authenticator app is open on my mobile, and here I need to move forward with the click next. After you click next, okay, are you sure you need to set up? Yes, click next. Now there's a QR code. You need to just click on this, and you have to choose work or school account because we are right now using the work account. Scan the QR code. Scanning the QR code, and it may take a few minutes, and as you can see, the chris@harsharena.in is now available in my Authenticator app. When I click next, we definitely receive one of the code exactly. We need to match these both codes. 65, I type 65, click yes. If it is correct, but after my facial recognition, it says, okay, it's been done. Notification approved. You are good to go to use multi-factor authentication from now on. After I click done, and there you go. Now it allows me to sign in within my Microsoft Azure account, right? It is so easy, so simple to use, not a difficult thing at all. That is how you actually need to take care of things for the Microsoft Authenticator app. And I also believe that you have to enable, and you suggest all of your users to make sure follow the Microsoft Authenticator app for the multi-factor authentication, and make sure they enable this security. Alright guys, so that is all for the day, and obviously we will come back with the one more last video for AZ-900, and accept that all other topics been covered, and I'm so happy and so glad to tell you that everything we learned in AZ-900, you can definitely go through the examination now, and you will definitely crack the examination if you understand all the basics, all the logical explanation which I have tried to give you and try to teach you in these videos. So at this moment, I just would like to say, I hope you learned something new today, and this video has been informative and helpful to you. That is all I wish and I hope. So please take care of yourself, and I'm definitely coming up with the one last more video for AZ-900, and obviously one of my best wishes message to all of you. So take care guys, wish you, and I'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care of your family, take care of yourself, your health. I'll see you in the next. Bye bye. Peace.